Hello, this video is to help with 10-2 homework. You might have already done the homework, but this would be a review for the quiz on Friday. First question I have on mine is find the equation of the axis of symmetry and the coordinates of the vertex of the graph of the function. You need to figure out the axis of symmetry in order to do this question. This is the formula for the axis of symmetry. X equals negative b over 2a. And you get a, b, and c from your equation here. So a is the first number, b is the second, and c is the third. Or a is the one with the x squared, b is the one with the x, and c is the one by itself. So in this particular example, the a is 4, b is 5, and c is negative 1. So when you put it into the formula, negative b over 2a, that work is down here. The negative sign is here. B is 5. We put that in. 2 times 4 is 8. Excuse my writing because of the mouse. And I get negative 5/8. And the calculator work is right here, I believe. No, this is for the other problem. You just do negative 5 divided by 8, and it's either C or D is your answer. Now you have to figure out what the vertex is. And the vertex is the point on the parabola, this point right here, which includes the axis of symmetry, which is x equals negative 5/8. That's just a line, this dotted line going up here. But this actual point of the vertex is determined by taking the axis of symmetry and putting it into the equation. And that's the work I have down here. I have 4 times negative 5/8 squared plus 5 times, this should be negative 5/8. I made a mistake. I think I redid it down here. Negative 5/8 minus 1. And that gets you the axis of symmetry, which is negative 2.5625. Now the answers are in fractions. So what I did was I did 9 divided by 16, and I got 0.5625, and that's the correct answer. And obviously the 2 is just out front. So my vertex here is the point, the x point, negative 5/8, comma, negative 2 and 9/16. And that's an ordered pair. So the vertex is an ordered pair, the axis of symmetry is a line. The next question is to graph. So we want to graph this equation, and it's a parabola because it's x squared. So we have negative 2x squared. So a couple of things. It's a parabola, so it's a U or a upside down or a happy or a sad face, I basically say. If there's a minus sign out in front of x squared, it's a frown face. If it was positive 2x squared, that would be a happy face. Okay, and we have frowns and happy faces here. And we have to figure out what the axis of symmetry is in the vertex. So we have to be careful with this. So first of all, let's see if it's a frown or a happy. And you can see the negative 2x squared. So the answer is either going to be A or B, and I have B circled, which is the right answer. But there is some work to doing these. So we have to figure out what the axis of symmetry is. And you can see in A and B, both answers are negative 0.5. So it probably is negative 0.5. Actually, all the axes are 0.5 or negative 0.5. So we have to figure out what the axis of symmetry is by doing negative b. So that's negative b, even though b is already negative. We got to put a negative sign in front, over 2 times a, which would be 2 times negative 2. And that makes the axis negative 2 over negative 4, which ends up being, these two negatives cancel, it ends up being negative 1/2. However, you have to So, and is it frown? It's a frown face because of this negative sign. So we already know it's either A or B. Uh, C would be positive 2x squared. Okay, with the rest of it. But that's not what we're looking for. But now we have to plug the axis of symmetry into the equation up here. Um, and we can do that on the calculator again. And I'm going to do -2, and I got to use my parentheses here, times, and it's -0.5, and in parentheses, squared, minus 2, parentheses, -0.5, minus 1. And that gives me -0.5. And notice this one is not -0.5. Yeah, the graph's drawn that way, but this says 0.5. So actually this graph should be up here at 0.5, but it's not. So B is the correct answer here. Okay, number 3 is it's a little bit difficult, but it's just basically using the axis of symmetry. It wants you to figure out the axis of symmetry. At first I thought I needed a rectangle for this question, but I actually don't. It's saying, what is the maximum area? So whatever it says maximum or minimum, it's looking for the top of the parabola. And in this case, it's a it's a sad face parabola because it's a minus x squared. So if I were to draw this, it would be a sad face parabola. And it would be a maximum, as in Monday's homework. And we want to know what this maximum point is here. And the way we could figure that out is using the axis of symmetry. So if we figure out the axis of symmetry and then put it into the equation, it'll tell me what the vertex is and what the maximum point is. So looking at this question here, let's rewrite it in standard form. A equals -x squared plus 27x, and then it's plus 0. There, it just goes through 0. Okay, so the axis of symmetry is -b over 2a. So a is -1, so it's 2 times -1. All right, and this is going to be positive 13.5. So that's the axis of symmetry. X equals 13.5. But to find the maximum height, I'm going to take that 13.5 and put it into this equation here. So I'm going to do -13.5 squared plus 27 times 13.5 and get that answer. And again, these calculators are good to have. If you don't, you have to just do it very methodically. Meaning on a regular calculator, figure out what -13.5 squared is first on your calculator if you're doing it with the other calculators. Then you're going to add that to 27 times 13.5. And that gets you 182, which looks like it's answer D. Okay. This next question is asking you to throw a ball and asking for, again, the maximum height. And I have the work done on here, and let me erase it so it's a little easier to see. A ball thrown is in the air upward at a velocity of 36 feet per second, h in feet, and t in seconds, given by this function. Okay, so right away, what you should notice, because you've learned this week, is this is a sad face parabola. Okay, it's a sad face parabola. And the maximum height would be where the axis of symmetry is. The highest this ball would go is be where the axis of symmetry is. So we have to figure out what the axis of symmetry is for this equation. I'm not sure if I have the work done over here, but I'll redo it. So it's -b, so that's 36, over 2a, which is -16. Again, we get A, B, and C from A, B, and C. We don't use C yet. And when I figure this out, it comes out to be 1.13. That's the axis of symmetry. So that's how much time it'll reach maximum height. So now I'm going to put this 1.3 into the original equation, and I think I have the work done here. So I do negative 16 times 1.3 squared plus 36 times 1.3 plus 9, and I get 29, 25, which is answer B. Question 5 here is asking you to graph this. So you have to realize, again, from what you've learned and reviewed this week, that this is a parabola because it's x squared, and it's happy because it's a positive in front of this x and not a negative. Okay, so for example, this one here would be a negative x squared because it's going down. We'll talk about the shading in a bit. This one would also be a negative x squared. So this one here would be a negative x squared also because it's going down. And this is a positive x squared because it's going up. Now, it says less than or equal to. So, and this one here is a positive x squared. Okay, so less than or equal to, remember, is a solid line, but it's below. So this is less than or equal to. This one here is less than or equal to, but again, it's negative. And this one here would be, this one's shaded above, so it's greater than, and it's dotted, so it's just greater than. And this one here is also shaded above, so it's greater than also, because of the dotted lines and it's shaded above. So it's very clear to see that the answer is A. The negative 1 just means it goes through negative 1 on the x-axis. This one goes through positive 1, so this would be a plus 1 over here. This one goes through negative 1, and this one goes through positive 1, just kind of building the equation here. Okay, and we'll talk later about the negative x, what that does. Okay, number 6 is, again, a similar question. Negative, it's a frown face, and it's greater than, it's shaded above, so it has to be letter A. This one is greater than x squared, so this is not a negative, it's a positive in front, so it's a happy face. Again, positive is a happy face, negative is a frown face, and that's the number in front of x squared. And so you can see down here, this is greater than, so it's shaded above, and it's a frown face. This is a happy face and shaded below. Okay, this graph here, again, we're going to use the same skills we just used. These questions can be easy after a while because you know the tricks. Again, we're looking for, it's positive 2x squared, so we're looking for a happy face. And we're looking for a solid line because of the line underneath here. It's solid. And we're looking for, because it's greater than, we're looking for shading that's going above the graph. So actually it would look like this, it's going up from here. And the one that looks like that is letter B. Again, this here would be, it's shaded above, so it's greater than, it's a solid line, so it's equal to, it's a frown face, so it's negative x squared. This one here is shaded above, so it's greater. It's dotted, so I don't put the line underneath, and it's a happy face, so I put x squared. Again, I'm just comparing. I could put the 2 here. That's fine. We could put the 2 just to narrow the graph. We already talked about that one. This one here would be, let's see, it's shaded below, so it's less than. It's dotted, so I don't put the line underneath. And it's a frown face, so I put a negative x squared. Okay. Look, and that's the last question. This is a question I had for another student. So hopefully that helps you. Again, if you need more help, you can chat on Google Hangouts. That would be best. I can share my screen. And please study these videos for the quiz on Friday. Thank you, and God bless. God bless.